Immortal 4, Collision of Worlds. Chapter 5, Nosferatu. The lights of Topaz Bridge glimmered in the distance, but no one crossed the bridge. The streets were deadly quiet. It was 9 p.m. and curfew was in effect for the next 10 hours. Violation was punishable by death. One solitary figure hurried along the streets. In his arms he carried a little girl. The amber man glanced over his shoulder, his face contorted in terror. Just one more block. His heart thumped wildly against his chest, as much from the exertion of running as from fear. Miyoshi weighed at least 40 pounds, but Lee didn't dare put her down. Violation! A robotic voice screeched behind them. Lee looked over his shoulder to see a 6-foot mechanical bird bearing down upon him. Sitting atop the creature was an android wearing metal goggles and a wired headset. His mouth was fitted with a pointed gear, and his right arm ended in a taser of brass and bolts. You are in violation! Lee cried out and redoubled his speed, Miyoshi wailing in his arms. Yet the robot's long legs half the distance between them, the streets thumping from the impact of the bird's metallic legs. Realizing that he could not run the rider, he whirled to face him. Please, I'm carrying a child. Violation, the rider screeched. Lee turned and sprinted away. In the next instant, the android leveled his arm at the man's back. A thunderous boom filled the night. Molten orange fire shot from the rider's arm. Half the man's back disappeared in flames. He screamed in agony. Run! Lee croaked, tossing his daughter. He hit the pavement, already dead. A copper man glided from the rooftop and caught the child. He was dressed in black, wore hooped earrings, and his neck was tattooed with a dragon. He morphed behind the rider. Another specter glided from the rooftop to his right, this one a brown-skinned indigo woman with her hair braided into an upsweep. She wore a thigh-length black dress and coat, and she too was tattooed with a sword and pierced. The woman blurred in front of the rider and stood akimbo. Violation! The android shrieked, backing his robotic bird up a step. The sudden appearance of these creatures seemed to incense him far more than Lee's had. You are in violation of planet law and will be erased. He pointed his arm at her and fired. She flashed to his left in a fluid burst of speed. 3 more specters, each one tattooed and pierced, appeared on the rooftops, this time to the android's left, and glided down. They surrounded him, dodging his fire so that he was reduced to spinning in circles in his vain attempt to hit one. At length they seemed to tire of the game and paused, waiting. The rider stopped too, unsure of what was happening, but the human part of his brain told him that these 4 were only the icing on a deadly cake. Something was wrong, very wrong. A dark woman stepped out of the shadows. Thick hair framed her face. She wore a black coat that brushed her ankles and boots. Her generous curves were encased in a camisole that enhanced rather than covered her body. Her left thigh was decorated with a tattoo of a short sword, and she held a musket the size of a small cannon. Violation! The rider shrieked. She smiled, revealing 2 fanged scissors, aimed and fired, taking the creature's head off. The goggle head shot through the air and landed at her feet. The bird, electronically connected to its rider, lurched a few steps and froze. This is science fiction author Valjean Jeffers, and you've been listening to Immortal 4, Collision of Worlds. Visit me at my site, www.bjeffersandqveal.com. And Immortal 4 Collision of Worlds is also available at Amazon and Barnes & Noble in both print and ebook. Peace out.